Hey guys, welcome back. I am continuing the Cinderella phenomenon. As you know, I don't normally do that, but I don't know. I really like the turnout for this video, and then just like as a series as a whole. So we're gonna get back into it. I think chapter 7 is what we're on. Don't hold me to that. I'm not positive. I just looked and forgot it as soon as I looked. So I'm gonna try and make this one quick. I don't know if we're gonna get through a whole chapter or not, and I know I always say it's gonna be like a quick video and it ends up being huge. But I do have to go to work, so and there go my dogs. They decided they needed to be in here with me and then took off. So I apologize, but the dogs are allowed to come in here with me as long as they're good. So we'll keep to that. Alright, so last we left off, so the princess and Rod kind of have this thing, or maybe she's bringing Rod to be more, just emotionally available, and maybe possibly even dealing with the thoughts that he has, which may be related to the curse, or at least that's how I'm seeing it. And I heard that, this series might be coming to an end soon, like that the chapters, like we don't have very much more to go, but I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, well if we're following Rod, what would have happened if we followed Karma or anyone else? You know, does that make the game like completely different, or you know, like what exactly is going on? Because it's almost like you get 3 different sides of the story, maybe even more. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. And the princess, I believe, is going to town, or at least that's what I'm gathering. Today's the first time I'm leaving the palace on a day off. Usually I choose to stay inside. Whereas the other servants always leave to go home, I never see any reason to leave since this has always been my home. And the Marchin's never been home. Besides, it's not as if I want to return, not after that conversation we all shared last time. Thus, I've spent most of my days asking questions about Mother's reign, inquiring when and where I can. The opinions do not surprise me. I was so scared of her, one wrong move and she'd have you thrown in prison. The townsfolk would always wait for her to pass by before leaving their houses. She was a tyrant. The kingdom is a better place now that she's gone. Wow. There's no reason for them to lie to me. The more I hear, the more my old life makes sense to me. I know now why the king never seemed to love Mother and why the people hated her. And the reason people looked at me with such fear. However, it's been months since I've been glared at in public. If there's one good thing that this curse did for me, it's that it allows me to travel around town without being noticed. As Viorka's shop comes into view, my thoughts shift to the reason I left the palace in the first place. If Rod will not tell me anything, I'll have to ask Viorka. She must be related in some way to his curse. Of course, she's taken it upon herself to help, and he may not want it. I pause outside the door of the toy shop. With a deep breath, I push the door open. Welcome. The moment she sees me, her expression becomes confused. Oh, you're the princess's maid. Paintivity, wasn't it? I nodded her. You've never come in here alone before. What can I help you with? I wanted to ask you something. It's about Prince Rod. Prince Rod? Did something happen to him? Is he okay? He's fine. She sighs with relief. Then what is it you'd like to ask? I just wanted to know if you knew anything about Prince Rod's sudden muteness. Viorka stares at me for a few moments before she shakes her head. I only know that it happened soon after I met my fiancé, Desimon. What reason do you have for asking? Well, I try to think of a plausible explanation for this, and I immediately consider Emmeline. Viorka is Emmeline's best friend. Surely she'd be willing to help if she knew I was doing this for Emmeline. Prince Rod has been very quiet recently. Princess Emmeline has been worried sick about him, but he refuses to say anything, even to her. I've been trying to gather information that might be helpful in discerning the cause. I stare at her expectantly, hoping that my gaze holds nothing but determination. Finally, Viorka smiles. She's lucky to have a dedicated friend like you. I'm still not accustomed to the fact that Emmeline considers me a friend. Before she became the princess, I was her first confidant, and we were like sisters. But now that she's living in the castle, we no longer have the luxury of spending so much time together. I worry about her constantly. Even around me, Em always tended to keep her problems to herself at first. She doesn't like to bother other people with them. It's hard not to agree. With the way Emmeline was always smiling before, I never thought she had any problems in her life. It was only recently I discovered that she was hiding all of her loneliness and pain behind a smile. It's a relief that she's befriended someone who cares so much about her. I don't know if I could be much help, but I'll tell you what I know if it'll help Emmeline. To start with, okay, dogs, don't do this. To start with, I'm not exactly sure how everything changed, but it happened so suddenly. All I know is that after the night I met Decimon, our relationship changed. At first, he still smiled, but recently he's been avoiding me. What happened between the two of you the night you met your fiancé? Nothing. Rod and I didn't meet on that day. Prince Rod wasn't there? No, but soon after what happened that night, Rod grew distant. What happened? Flashback. It was a stormy night and I was headed back home. I took the route by the riverbank because it was the shortest route. It was foolish of me. The road was slippery and full of mud. I lost my footing and fell in the water. The waves were strong and I was certain I was going to drown. I don't remember what happened in the darkness of that water, only that when I woke up my head was in Decimon's lap. That was the first time we met, but not the last. He carried me home and he came by every day as I was recovering. And then he came to visit even after I had recovered. I tried not to get my hopes up too much because what could this nobleman see in me, a mere commoner? But I still ended up falling in love with him. You have no idea how happy I was when he said he loved me too. It was a dream come true. Of course, every girl dreams of marrying a prince. It was all in the fairy tales that I read as a child. None of that was at all related to Rod. How does this relate to his curse? You said your relationship with Prince Rod changed after that night. What happened? Bjorka sighs. I told Em and Rod about Decimon soon after the incident. Em was happy as the two of us had fallen in love, but Rod didn't say much of anything. That's when I noticed he'd started growing distant and when I realized that he had also lost his voice. He still won't tell me anything, but I figured that he was... Her voice fades, but I know she's referring to the curse. So Rod lost his voice shortly after Bjorka met Decimon. The mermaid's curse must have something to do with the tail. The little mermaid traded her voice for legs so that she could be with her prince, but that night the only person who found their Prince Charming was Bjorka. Rod's curse must have something to do with Decimon and Bjorka. He became distant with her after finding out about Decimon. Why? Then there's the fact that he still spoke to Bjorka even if he was distant. It was only when he found out about their wedding that he became so cold. I frowned as I tried to organize my thoughts. How did it get to be this late? I'm so sorry, Paintivity, but I have to close the shop now. Sorry for the story. I know it has nothing to do with Rod, but it was after the incident that he began to act strangely. I don't think I was much help, but I shake my head. You've told me what you could. Bjorka walks me to the door, opening it so that the both of us can step out into the street together. Oh, great. Nighttime's not a great place around here. I really hope that you're able to help Emmeline and Rod. I hope so, too. Did you see Ophelia the other day? I catch sight of two noble women sitting on a bench together not too far away from the toy shop. They're referring to Ophelia without her title. How disrespectful. Who would have thought a peasant like her could almost look like royalty? Huh, it's the same ones. But her dress. As a queen, she ought to be wearing silks rather than satin. I don't know why, but I bristle at their comments. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but the fact that they're speaking so bluntly in public means they have little worry of being overheard. I'm still not sure what the king saw in her. Well, you know what they say about ladies lacking natural beauty. Her talents must lie in other, more persuasive areas. She must be very persuasive indeed if the king saw it worthwhile to marry her. As the two women laugh, I feel something hot begin to burn in my stomach. Bjorka takes in a sharp breath beside me. Since I became a maid in the palace, Ophelia has been nothing but kind to me, a mere servant. She has all the right to flaunt her status and title, yet she remains humble. I now know that this is why everyone at the palace loves her. Common women like her can only keep a man's attention for so long. I start walking toward them without thinking. Paintivity, You have no right to say those things about the queen. The two women are clearly surprised at my interruption. Both of them glare at me. And you have no right to eavesdrop on us. Eavesdropping? Anyone could have heard you. Their mouths fall open. One of the women looks at me for a long time, then sneers suddenly as if something has occurred to her. I thought you looked familiar. You're the crown princess's personal maid. I see you always following her around when she's in town. This is none of your business, girl. Why do you care so much for our opinions? Ah, perhaps it's because a girl idolizes a queen, thinks she might also go from rags to riches. What? Oh, you do have a point. They stand and advance towards me. Do you want the prince for yourself, girl? If a commoner can become the queen, it's not too difficult to imagine yourself as a princess, is it? How foolish. You're better off dreaming smaller dreams, girl. They laugh, and the irritation in my chest blazes into full-on anger. Is this what Ophelia has been dealing with for the past year? She's being treated so cruelly when she's done nothing but love the king. And I also ridiculed her just like this. I forced myself to look at the cruel women as I moved my hand to the pendant hanging around my neck. I was just as cruel as them. I barely felt Viorka's hand as she rested against my shoulder. Paintivity, let it go. Her Majesty wouldn't want you to do this. But I can't just let these two women talk about Ophelia like this. I pull away from Viorka and stand firm. The queen has a good heart. She's far more noble than either of you could ever hope to be. I think back on the times I was cruel to her. Ophelia could have easily reprimanded me for my behavior. She had the right as my stepmother, yet she's been nothing but kind to me. Ophelia never got angry at me, even despite my treatment towards her and her family. She's always treated others with kindness, even when they're cruel to her. Judging from the bitterness in your accusations, it seems like you're jealous of her. How pathetic. The other woman marches towards me, and my free hand instinctively moves to hold her hand just before her palm reaches my cheek. I will not tolerate any insults towards the queen. A soft light emanates from the pendant, and I can only stare at it in shock. I got another good deed? By defending Ophelia? The woman snatches her hand away. How dare a peasant like you talk that way to us? Have you no manners? I could ask you the same. What happened to yours? How dare you? Don't you know who we are, girl? I will see that you pay for your impertinence. Our words have far more weight than yours ever will. I'll go to the king myself to tell him about how rude you were. I can pass on that message myself. I turn to see Rod walking towards us, his expression cold. The two noble women hastily curtsy. Your Highness. The noble women turn pale as Rod's eyes fall on them. Actually, we have an important dinner engagement. Yes we do. The two noble women curtsy before quickly departing. What are you doing here without your guards? What trouble have you gotten yourself into now? I don't know. I feel like being honest is a better idea, but I kind of don't want to tell him because he'll just scold me. I'm gonna do it. These women were insulting the queen. I thought a lecture was in order. Oh, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion. What? I narrow my eyes at him. Something like this can't be helped. Bad rumors are unavoidable. Rod looks away, his expression suddenly pained. This wouldn't have happened if I hadn't wished for... Rod never finishes the sentence. He clears his throat before looking at us again. What was he going to say? We shouldn't keep you from returning home, Viorka. I'll take Paintivity back to the palace. Viorka's eyes narrow and she looks ready to say something, but Rod has already reached out for my hand to pull me along behind him. My eyes narrow as I recognize the path that we're on. This is not the way back to the palace. No, it isn't. We're going to the Marchen. Why? Because I was on my way there before I was forced to take a detour because someone was drawing attention to herself. What? But Rod ignores me, and we walk the rest of the way to the Marchen in silence. Waltz is the only person in the reception room when we enter. Prince Rod? Princess? It's a little late for the two of you to be here. I had meant to be here earlier. Is Lady Parfait here? Waltz nods. I'll go get her. Wait here. As soon as Waltz leaves us alone, Rod turns to me, his expression rigid. Rod steps closer and grabs my shoulders. Ah! Oh God. I wasn't able to say so earlier because we were out in public, but you should know just how much danger you're in now, and yet you thought it was okay to go around on your own? It was my day off today. It's not unreasonable for me to want time for myself. Time for yourself? Don't you understand the meaning of be careful? Why would you do something as foolish as go out into town alone? I can't help but bristle at his tone. Why are you so angry? Because you're... Rod trails off and looks away. Because you're family. So you're finally acknowledging me as family? I notice his cheeks turning red. To be honest, you're less of a family member and more just important. Important? Because of all that you do for Emmeline. You're important to my sister. He looks uncomfortable as he says the words, and I can't help but marvel at his embarrassment. He is backpedaling so hard. Why is he so embarrassed? But Rod changes the topic as he turns away from me. Why were you with Viorica? I can only think of one reason you'd speak to her. My curse. You thought you'd find out about my curse through her? I shrug. I can only assume that your curse has something to do with Viorica. I look up when Rod says something, then stare at the curious sight before me. He's taken Sebi off his shoulder and is holding the doll in his hands away from his face. The two seem to be engaged in some silent conversation, then gently Sebi speaks words I can hear. This is the right thing to do. You need to let her help you, Rod. Rod bites down on his lower lip before briefly closing his eyes. Eventually, he returns Sebi to his usual spot on his shoulder and turns to me. Fine. You're stubborn and you're not going to quit investigating unless I tell you, are you? You're right. Viorica is the reason I was cursed. Rod sits down on the settee and lets out a heavy sigh. His eyes are far away when he speaks to me. I was in love with Viorica, but I wasn't brave enough to tell her. I just followed her around like some kind of puppy. One day Viorica hadn't come home and it was raining very heavily, so I went out to look for her. I found her walking along the bank of the river. I called out to her to tell her to be careful, but I don't think she ever heard me. She slipped and... Rod swallows. He clenches one of his hands into a fist. She fell into the river. I dived in after her. I somehow managed to get both of us onto the riverbank, but it didn't look like Viorica was breathing. I didn't know what to do. I started panicking. I ran off to try and find help, but I couldn't find anyone in the storm. When I returned, she was gone. I rushed to her house, and a doctor was already there attending to her along with Decimon. Rod's gaze is vacant as he nods. When Viorica began to fall in love with him, I felt helpless. Did you not tell her that you were the one that saved her? Why would I? Viorica was so happy believing that she and Decimon were fated to be together. I couldn't do that to her. But surely if you told her... Rod interrupts me. I want the people I love to be happy. I don't care if their happiness causes me pain. I'd rather bear that alone instead of bringing down those around me. My chest aches as I watch Rod's face. I never would have guessed that Rod would be so selfless. But that didn't stop me from thinking that I could still make her love me instead. I decided to become what I thought Viorica wanted most, the Prince Charming of the fairy tales she so adored. And so I asked a witch to turn me into one. She stole my voice in exchange. Only then did I realize that she had inflicted the fairy tale curse upon me, the mermaid's curse. The next day the king turned up at our house proclaiming he'd been looking for my mother for years and that he'd never stopped loving her. When the king married my mother, I became her prince. It was just as the witch promised. But it didn't matter. I didn't see it when I made the deal with the witch, but I couldn't be blind to it forever. Decimon and Viorica really do love each other. They make each other happy. Nothing I can do will ever change that. Rod, Of course. Prince Rod. Oh! Parfait pauses in her tracks when she sees me. Why is she always sad when she sees me? Have I interrupted something? No. Rod moves over to Parfait, but he stops to glance back at me. I won't be long. Parfait looks at Rod and then at me, her face puzzled, but she does not say a word as Rod and her leave the room. Interesting. I wonder what they have to talk about, because he makes it seem very important. I didn't get the chance to discuss Rod's curse with him later that night, nor did I get the chance to speak with Parfait and Delora about my suspicions of Sir Alcaster. Days go by, but still I find myself overwhelmed by preparations for the ball. Things have become more frantic every day, making it difficult for me to have any time to speak with anyone. Eventually, I decided to write a letter containing my suspicions of Sir Alcaster. I tell Parfait and Delora that I believe he might be the witch they're looking for. I also add that I believe Fritz might somehow be involved, though my suspicions are not as well founded with him. I wouldn't have written it down. That's going to get her in trouble later. To make matters worse, he went and disappeared. I've not heard anyone mention his name here for a very long time. Oh, God. I'm forcefully pulled from my thoughts when I collide with someone. The linens I had been holding scatter over the floor. Excuse me, I didn't... I look up and my voice trails off when I see who I bumped into. Lost in your thoughts? Sir Mithras looks at me, something veiled in his smiling eyes. I suppose those are the linens the queen asked for. Yes, please excuse me. I begin gathering up the linens, but as I reach out for one, Sir Mithras picks it up first. Allow me to help you. I'll be fine. But this was partially my fault. Let me assist you. I bite my lip and do not protest as Sir Mithras helps me gather the rest of the linens. I'm contemplating my schedule for the rest of the day when I realize that Sir Mithras has been talking. I don't suppose you have any idea on who that maid is? Maid? There's a cold amusement in Sir Mithras' gaze. Surely you've heard the rumor of the young prince having been seen with a royal maid somewhere around town. Rumor has it the Prince Rod has found love among the common folk, much like his royal stepfather has. Rod? With a maid? As far as I'm aware, the only maid he's been out in town with has been... I freeze as Sir Mithras straightens, patting down his clothes for dust before holding out some linens to me. If it's true, I wish him the best, though I wish he would be more discreet about it. A royal scandal's the last thing we need right now. I shakily take the linens from Sir Mithras as he inclines his head towards me. Have a good day, Paintivity. Well, that's random. Word spreads fast. I walk to the dining hall in the haze, my mind whirling with the implications of what Sir Mithras just said. I'm sure it was those noblewomen who spread this rumor. Ah, Paintivity, thank you for bringing these to me. Just leave them on the table. I curtsy after placing the linens down as commanded. If that's all... Paintivity. I straighten at the tone of Ophelia's voice. When I look up, I see that her expression's carefully still. I'm about to ask you something you might not want to answer, but I very much hope you will. I'll answer if I can. Good. Ophelia sighs as she sits down on one of the dining table chairs and folds her hands on her lap. I've been trying to ignore it since palace gossip is mostly false, but I can't help my curiosity. I wanted to ask about your relationship with my son. What? I understand you and Rod were out together in town a few days ago. Do you want to tell me what happened? I'll explain the situation. If Ophelia is asking me about these rumors, I can only imagine what sort of story those women made up. I'd rather her hear it from me. Prince Rod was just on his way somewhere when he chanced upon me. When he saw that I was in trouble with two noble women, he stopped to intervene. That's all. Rod said the same thing. Then why did you ask me, Your Majesty? To see what you thought about the situation. I don't think anyone should get a say in what your relationship with Rod is. My relationship with Rod? I like you, Paintivity, and I'm certain that you're good for Rod. If I had my way, I'd let him court you. Huh, well, that's random. I feel the heat in my cheeks as I trip over my words. The prince and I are not in a relationship. A member of the royal family cannot end up with a servant. Where there's love, there's hope. Social status shouldn't stop you from being happy, Paintivity. Well, not only... Yeah, then what about the fact that I'm Rod's stepsister? Yeah, so she's smart about it. She's like, wait, we're technically family? I bite down on the statement fiercely. I already know what role I'm playing here, and I can't break it. Ophelia looks at me with a complicated expression before she sighs. I'll not push you on this any further. But be careful, Paintivity. Your closeness with my son and daughter has not gone unnoticed. I do not believe in limiting relationships because of one's status, but I understand. I curtsy as I move toward the dining hall's entrance. What did Ophelia mean by that closeness not going unnoticed? Later that day, as I'm waiting outside the throne room for Emmeline to finish one of her classes, two maids walk toward me and stop in front of me. Paintivity, isn't it? What is it? I've already finished all my tasks for the day. Oh, I'm sure you have. Probably rushed through all of them so that you could hang around the prince and princess tonight. The head housekeeper's been giving you a lighter load so you can afford the time to play around, I blink at them, confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. All the servants know what you've been doing. Just because you're Princess Emmeline's personal maid doesn't make you better than the rest of us. I'd be careful not to get too big for your boots, Paintivity. Are you threatening me? What if we are? Then I'd be very disappointed in you. Princess Emmeline. Emmeline moves Let me try that again. Emmeline moves to stand beside me, a disapproving expression on her face. I did not expect such petty cruelty from the two of you. You should be ashamed of yourselves, Your Highness. You really do have a talent for getting yourself into trouble. Rod. Rod pauses briefly, his eyes meeting mine for a second before he looks at the maids. Don't you have better things to do than bully my sister's maid? We apologize, Your Highness. We'll be on our way. The two maids run off. Emmeline turns to look at me. Are you okay? I'm about to answer when I notice that Rod's abruptly walking away from us. I frown at his back. He had only just started being nice to me, and now he's back to acting as if I don't exist. What did I do? Emmeline puts her hands on my back and gently pushes me forward. You wanted to ask him something, right? I could see it in your eyes. Emmeline smiles as she pushes the door to the throne room open. I have a few more questions to ask my teacher. I'll be a while. But she disappears into the throne room before I can finish. I glance down the hallway. Rod just disappeared down and then back at the throne room. My thoughts whirl together in a vague mess until I make my decision. Wait! At the sound of my approaching footsteps, Rod turns and looks at me. He scowls, but he doesn't say anything. I don't really want to tell him off, though. I don't say nothing. I feel abruptly tongue-tied when I come face to face with him. It's likely that my telling him off will result in some sort of altercation, and that wouldn't be good. See? Exactly. What? I have better things to do than be gaped at, or gapped, or whatever. Rod turns away from me. I'm left to stare dumbly after him. What's wrong with him? Normally he's not so afraid to speak his mind. I frown as I feel a dull ache throbbing somewhere deep in my chest. What is this? Why do I feel sad? Normally Rod's distance doesn't make me feel like this, and yet now I'm really so sad that he doesn't want to speak with me. I shake my head and take a deep breath to steel my mind. It's better not to think about it. Ooh, new chapter perhaps? There it is. And this will be the one about the ball. So I was right, it is chapter 7. It's gonna be the day of the ball. Okay, so chapter 8, things are picking up. I still really don't feel like I know what direction it's going in. So I'm gonna leave it here as always. I don't think I sped too fast through that one, but people are starting to notice her and Rod, but yet we don't have an update on the curse. She's got 2 pieces, all she needs is 3. Maybe Rod will come around and clear his curse as well. Maybe. We're gonna find out, but I think this whole, like, once the curse is broken and she's family again, that things wouldn't be right. I don't know. So we're gonna have to find out next time. So I think, depending on tomorrow's a weird day, I'll try and do another chapter tomorrow, and then I'm gonna need to start thinking about a new series. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave it for me, because this one's gonna be coming to an end very soon. And at the rate I'm going through it, it's very, very soon. Yeah, if you like it, hit the button. If you have something to say, let me know. Like, I would love your feedback. You know, what do you think of this? Would you do, like, would you sit through another visual novel? I'm not really good at the voices, but that would also give me a chance to do more. But whatever you guys think, let me know. And I will see you for chapter 8 at the ball, and we'll get all fancy and whatnot. And let's have fun with it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, thanks for joining the universe. Bye. Alice is looking for you. What? I cast a glamour on you a long time ago so that you could remain hidden from magical eyes. I did it to protect you, but this witch in question can see through the spell I've cast on you. It's my belief that they're actively looking for you. I'm also hoping, given the time right now, I'm hoping maybe we get through a chapter. But the story's getting good, so I close my eyes and massage the temples of my head as I feel a headache coming on.